Hey everyone, it's Bob Crossan. I'm the editorial director for Wastewater Digest. I'm joined today by a great deal of people here, but we have a really cool project to talk to you about. First is Brandon Steyerwalt. He's Town Brewing Company Director of Operations. Next to him is Federico Della Torre. He is Town Brewing Head Brewer. We also have Aaron McNeely, Senior Public Information Officer from Charlotte Water. Muriel Steele, Process Engineer for Wastewater Plants at Charlotte Water. And finally, we have Chris Thompson, Xylem's Director of Vertical Marketing for Drinking Water Utilities. Thank you all for being here with me today. We're going to be talking about a really cool project called Renew Brew that just won Best in Show at a local beer brewing competition. Very cool. And it's all about recycled water. So thank you all for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. No, we're excited.
Yeah. So I want to start actually with Chris. What technologies did you guys use to assist with this, and why was this so important for Xylem? How did this come to be? And then also, like, how has this technology evolved over time? How have you gotten to where we are today?
Yeah, that's a great question. And first and foremost, all the kudos in the world to the Charlotte Water team. They do an excellent job of producing the water at McDowell, which is where we pulled the final effluent for the project. But in terms of technology, in thinking about potable reclaimed water, we really look at it from a multiple barrier approach. This is water that we're going to serve to the public. So that's the chief thing in our minds is making sure that we have those multiple barriers. And so in terms of the technologies that we used on this project, we had 3 filtration steps and 2 disinfection steps. So the filtration, we had a pre-carbon filtration step to make sure after the final effluent where we got it had no particulates in it. So we had a pressure filtration step. And then we had a reverse osmosis membrane step. Reverse osmosis, as you know, Bob, is very, very tight membrane that is going to catch chemicals, dissolved chemicals, bacteria, any kind of constituents like that, contaminants like that. And then after that, we had a pass-through ozone disinfection, very powerful oxidant, UV disinfection, ultraviolet light as an inactivation of disinfection. And then we had one final carbon filtration step. So again, that's 3 filtration steps, 2 disinfection steps, and really wanting to make sure that all those fail-safes are in place because we know it is going to be a drinkable product. It turned out to be a great drinkable product, as you'll hear in a minute. So in terms of technology evolving, I would say, the technology, it's really been more of our experience and our comfort level with the technology. We've done a lot of piloting. This was a pilot, a demonstration scale project to really trumpet the idea of sustainability. But we've learned a lot over the years of piloting these technologies in sequences, in the Mid-Atlantic and Southern California. And so we have a great deal of confidence in the processes that we used here and a great deal of experience now in doing those. So I think, more so than like leaps and bounds in terms of technology evolution, say over the last 5 years, it's really been our experience in gaining that experience over the several different projects that we've had.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because now that I'm thinking about the question it's kind of an incorrect question to ask because these types of technologies have been around forever. It is just a matter of like getting the comfort level, getting the buy-in from the stakeholders involved, and it's the technology exists, it's there, it's working. It's just, it's that public hurdle. It feels like you got to clear.
That's right. And that's what made this, such a fun project. And I know, QC Water, I know Aaron will speak to the branding of it, but it's just such a fun project to be a part of because it is part of that message about getting that sustainability message out to not just folks in our industry, but to the broader public.
Yeah.
So it makes it a little more attractive too when we put it in beer because
exactly
tend to navigate that a little easier, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely
most certainly. Well, I wanted to direct the next question at Muriel and talking about these technologies and kind of the processes here. What was your experience in working with this type of thing? Like, what did you learn anything in this process that kind of surprised you, or were you pretty confident with the technologies that were going to be used here as well?
I was honestly pretty confident. We were really proud of our effluent at McDowell. We joke all the time that it wouldn't take a lot for us to be so thirsty we needed to drink it. And we felt like the technologies that Xylem brought in really added a layer of safety that we could feel good about. And they're technologies that are usually used in the drinking water side, so it was fun to experience them. But I felt great about the whole process the whole time.
Yeah. Well, I guess to Aaron, so you're the public information officer. You're obviously that public side that we were just talking about with Chris. Could you talk about like what this means for Charlotte Water in that respect? You know, like what were some of the hurdles you were expecting to have to go clear here? And then like how did this jiving with the technology and what kind of challenges were you presented with? And then like what surprised you about the outcome of those public information processes that you went through?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the overall tone, our staff, we were really excited to be able to launch this project. Charlotte Water, we're often looking for ways to be more innovative and pioneer new projects. And while we aren't the very first to do this, we're the first in the Carolinas. And that was something that we were really excited about. This was a demonstration project, so we really wanted to see how the public was going to receive it. We really wanted to make sure that we were clear in our messaging that this water was safely treated, safe to drink, went through a very thorough treatment process, and that we're really proud of the water. And as Chris mentioned, we did brand it as QC water so that we're able to use it on future projects. But we really felt strongly about getting that message out to the public that we were really proud of this water, that it met all of the Safe Water Drinking Act standards and the EPA standards. So we're really, really proud of this project and just really excited. And we're really happy to see that it was received so positively from the public. We've gotten pretty much universally really positive feedback. So it's been really, really exciting.
Yeah, that is really cool. I think that what Brandon said about it being beer certainly helps the case, but that is very interesting to hear that people have been more excited than icked out, I guess is the way to put it.
Yes, yes.
I guess then to Brandon and Federico, what were your thoughts at the outset of this project? Had you ever considered this idea before about making beer from recycled water, or what were your thoughts when you came into this, and how did that change over time, if at all?
So yeah, full transparency. I mean, we're talking to people in the industry here, so everybody who's going to be listening to this really understands the fact that there is a stigma when we were talking about wastewater coming back into a human consumable. Probably people in this forum don't have that stigma because they understand the science behind it. You understand what's happening and being treated in the process and how safe we are at the end after Chris talked about the technologies that Xylem went through. But to our general consumer, there is a stigma. Fetty was really passionate about this product and really wanted to push this project through. Personally, on the risk side of it, from a brand standpoint, I was a little hesitant at first. In Charlotte Water, we really went through some really big talks with them about, obviously tearing down the walls of that stigma, or to the general public, a lot of times is using words like recycled, reused, reclaimed, like a lot of those words so that the stigma doesn't immediately present. We're not trying to grab people with a shock and awe factor. We're really trying to showcase truly how we can leave a better footprint here in brewing, because, in brewing, I think the industry standard is about 4-to-1 on gallons of water it takes to make a gallon of beer. So, it's a big resource for us, and we wanted to make sure that we could be a part of a project like this and really lead breweries in the Carolinas on that. But I'll let Fetty speak to, where his passion came in for this to be able to see as a brewer.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think, as soon as I heard about the project, I looked at Brandon and I said, "Hey, man, we really need to do this." And I think he was probably my biggest hurdle on pushing this one through. So, just taking the education approach, and especially with beer, with how much it's boomed in the past decade or so, education was always a big part of how I approached brewing and speaking about beer in general to the public who might not know a lot of what really goes on in the background. And really, our facility here is just like any other brewery. We are also kind of a water treatment plant. We just end up making beer with the water that we have. So it's not every day we get to do something sustainable, different, and wrap our heads around something that might change our typical process from day to day.
Yeah. Well, could you speak a little bit about the beer itself too? What kind of beer did you make when it came to the water quality? Did you have to make any changes to the water quality to make this beer even work from a brewing standpoint? Could you talk a
Um,
little bit about that technicality there?
yeah, so we just wanted to I wanted to showcase a good classic American pale ale. Think
Mhm.
Sierra Nevada pale ale. I think that's probably that's the industry standard of that style. And the water for a beer style like that to make sure that you're showcasing a little bit of the malt and those really beautiful hops. Uh, you need some really really nice clean water. The only thing through the process with Xylem treating the water and stripping all those minerals out, I actually had to add a little bit of calcium chloride and some gypsum just to bring a little bit of um, pH buffering and some salts back into the water.
Yeah. Yeah, I've often heard that from other brewing things that have used similar technologies that a lot of times these brewers have to add minerals back in to make the water taste right and work properly for their brewing procedures. And I always found that to be so fascinating because it is kind of the proof in the pudding, so to speak, of the look how darn pure this water is before it even is going to this brewing process.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it was stripped down bare bones for sure. But that's also something great about what we think this water lended to producing an award-winning beer was how clean the water was, and it's a blank
Mhm.
canvas at that point. That we could really create the water profile that we wanted to, and certain styles call for different water profiles in
Mhm.
brewing, and you may add different mineral contents to it. So Fetty was really able to tailor fit this exactly to what it was, and I think the reason he used a pale ale, we talk a lot about to try to use an example here of another industry. If you go into a barbecue restaurant, you're not trying the ribs first or the brisket. You're going to try the chopped barbecue sandwich, and you'll know everything there is to know about the house, right? The same thing in brewing. When you walk into a local brewery, try their pale ale, try their pilsner, try the simplest beer that they have on draft, because they're not adding a lot of mango puree and a lot of crazy adjuncts to it. That you can't really hide anything in it, right? And so Fetty was able to really showcase the ingredients and the malt and the malt barley and the hops on this, and just how clean and pure the water was as a blank canvas again.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys all for taking the time to speak with me today. Like I said, this is a really cool project. I really wanted to feature this and get this out to our audience. I'm certain that our audience will love it. And thank you all for taking the time and congratulations on this Best in Show. It's a crazy achievement for recycled water beer. Really, really cool. Great work, Fetty. So yeah, fantastic work.
Yeah, thank you
Thanks,
guys.
Bob. Thank you.